my mark.
All systems are a go. All systems are a go.
Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, you are over the target. You are authorized to fire at will.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. It's Minnesota Black Robe Regiment. This is an uncommon weekend scheduled show for you. And when I say uncommon weekend scheduled show, I do most of my content production now on the weekends instead of just uh, live like I used to do. And this one kind of, I don't want to say it fell in my lap, but um, I've been sitting on this one for a while because of uh, developing issues and concerns and questions and whatnot. And so we're going to get to the content here shortly. Want to get some things not out of the way, but work on them here like we always do at the beginning because we're building audience, right? We're always building audience. For those of you that don't know, um, if you just launch right into it out of the gate, doesn't give people chance to get notifications, whether it be YouTube, Rumble, wherever else it might be. So we're always working on building audience. And that's why we do it this way. So I want to give a shout out to my show producers, IMAV from over at Subscribestar, who's been supporting at top level on Subscribestar, to the Angry Vet, who has done just a massive amount to help the channel, and my anonymous show producer as well, who has helped in so many ways with the gifts that she has given to the show, but she just doesn't want credit. And so thanks. And I want to, tell you guys, like, when I talk about channel memberships, it is not a revenue generating scheme whereby I'm out driving around in a brand new car every six months or anything like that. Channel memberships really do help me have a steady flow of um, income from what we do here on the channel, what I do here on the channel. And when you join, it helps me because it helps pay the bills. It keeps the electricity going. It keeps the internet on. It keeps the data flowing. And every single one of the channel members that I have, every single one of you is really, really, really important to me. And I cannot thank you guys enough, no matter which level you're at. And there's not a single level of support here or on Rumble that isn't important to me. And by way of thanks to the channel members, and this is going to be sound a little nerdy before we get started here, but by way of thanks to channel members, I am going to be doing a channel members only book club. And part of what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be reading chapters from this wonderful little book, Economics in One Lesson by Henry Hazlitt. He's an Austrian economist, a lay person, if you would. And I'm going to be doing some chapter readings of this. And each week I'm going to put out a video as time allows. I'm going to put out a video of reading from this book, and then the following week, so it's every other week, I'll put out a few chapters that is you guys are going to be able to listen to, and then the following week, for those that are interested, and as time allows on the weekends, we will sit down and I will open up invites to come in studio with me, and we will talk about what we learned about Austrian economics from Henry Hazlitt. And so that's a way of saying thanks to you folks for being channel members and supporters. And I think it'll be good for us, and it'll be slightly different fare than what we normally do. Now, to get to the meat of why we're doing this, show this weekend instead of doing it as a TC and Friends Monday Night Musings or something else. Many of you know that I co-host Vet Nation Live, Veteran Nation Live with Mike Skipper Arthur, who is, sorry, folks, he's a Marine. We'll have to just, get over that. But I ran into Skipper, and I think it was ultimately on, used to be Twitter, now, X, I call it Twix. And we started to talk, and I had him on for a conversation early 2020. Well, not early, early in the days of the show. And then he reached out to me after that and said, "I'd love to have you come on as a co-host on a regular basis." And we have gone through many um, iterations of the show. It's morphed. We were with Juan from Red American Media for a while, who was as a show producer, where it was going out on our individual channels and also on Juan's network. And Juan's a great guy. He's just had to take a break from, producing his own channel, his own network for a while to deal with life. And so Skipper and I kind of stepped back, worked through some issues, and now, we're back to doing shows on a pretty regular basis, pretty steady basis. And in that time, we developed respect for one another, admiration for one another, care and concern, love for one another as brothers in the fight. And part of that has been to become deeply familiar and intimately familiar with the intricacies and interworkings of one another's lives. And for those of you that don't know, Skipper had, went through a pretty nasty divorce. I'm not telling tales out of school. Skipper will tell you that himself, that his divorce from his now ex-wife Jessica was long, protracted, and ugly, and was not easy for him or for his son. And it started, the problems leading to the divorce started, probably about 6 months into their marriage, and then really heated up in 2016 or so, when Jessica started to have an illicit affair with a person in a supervisory capacity over her in her role as a civilian military employee. This had, of course, led to multiple issues, and we're going to do deep dives into all of that. But this led to these multiple issues, ultimately leading to Skipper's divorce from Jessica, and ultimately a physical altercation that we're going to take a look at now. And what I want you guys to understand, that when you watch this physical altercation, is that this, you know what, let's just watch it, and I'll do my commentary as we're going. So you're going to want to turn up your volume, because this is a video that was taken by Skipper's dash cam. Don't look at the dates down there. Skipper's, well, I can't refer to it as the way I want to, because people wouldn't get the joke. But this actually took place on September 19th of 2023. This video was from September 19th, 2023 in California. As you can tell, it would have been later in the evening because of how dark it is here. But we're gonna watch and pay very close attention to what you see happening. So right out of the gate, the blurred image is Skipper's child. There's no need to name Skipper's child or show his face. The other person that you're going to see is Jessica, Skipper's ex. Skipper Mike is only trying to ask his son some questions about some things that Jessica set up without consulting with Skipper, their son, or not about their son, their shared son from their marriage. This is Skipper's child. And she scheduled a bunch of things and put things on an agenda for their child without consulting with Mike, with the father. And so Skipper's trying to ask some questions of his son, and Jessica is literally trying to repel Skipper, keep him away from his son to ask the questions. She does not want any involvement with Skipper here. This looks really bad. Nobody's going to argue about that. And quite frankly, I feel really bad for the child here. And I will tell you that Skipper does too. But this is the problem with ugly divorces, especially when you're dealing with a level of psychosis. You know, like the Skipper's ex, and I can't diagnose anybody, but Skipper's ex, from everything we've talked about, displays a lot of traits of somebody who has either a mental health disorder or a personality disorder. And you're going to see that as this plays out. Skipper's simply trying to speak to his child, and she refuses to allow it to happen. And you're going to see body language from Skipper's son here that will tell you just how uncomfortable he is, not with Skipper, but with what his mother's doing. So we're gonna go back just a little bit here, so you can watch this. He pushed her away. You see that? Watch that. See? She tries to bring him in for a hug. He actually closes his arms over his chest as she's coming in. Watch that. He closes his arms over his chest. He's not embracing her. He uses that to hit that closed position as she tries to close in with him. Once again, see that. See how the hands come down. He then pushes her away. He doesn't want anything to do with his mom in this situation. Now, what? Well, you know what? I'll just let Skipper be for a minute. I pick on him enough. You guys didn't see this, probably, but we'll show you. See that big hulking figure that comes around? Actually comes out of the van on the passenger side, while this altercation between Jessica and her child is taking place. Skipper's not involved in this. This is Jessica forcing her way onto her child. Then watch very carefully. You'll see the figures exiting the vehicle right in this area, right here. He comes around, right? Now, Skipper, this is not how you conduct yourself for safety. You have to be aware of your surroundings. This is my only critique of you in this moment. you let your guard down and it almost backfired on you. So the only fault that you have in this is that you did not check your safety and security, um, and involving yourself with a psychotic hot mess. But so we're going to watch that full speed now. This individual, folks, that jumped Skipper, his name is Halliburton Sellers. He is a retired Marine colonel. Halliburton Sellers was having, as far back as 2016, an inappropriate, unprofessional, unethical sexual relationship with Jessica, who was a married woman while he was a married man. That is a violation of the Marine Corps' morality and conduct standards. He's literally breaking military law. Worse, he's having an inappropriate sexual relationship with a civilian subordinate, Jessica, who worked directly for him. And has continued that relationship with Jessica now that Jessica and he are both divorced. He's continued that relationship, and this has continued to cause Skipper no end of angst and anxiety in his employment at 29 Palms Marine Base. So this guy is involving himself in a parental matter that's none of his business, that he wasn't invited into, and no one has a right to invite him into this, because he's looking for a reason. And we're going to deep dive on a lot of this going forward after this video. We're going to be talking about all of the stuff surrounding this entire scenario. It's absolutely mind-blowing, the lengths that the Marine Corps has gone to, especially under General Savage, who is the base commander at the time that this took place. So just watch one more time. We're going to show you his face real good here. That's Hal Sellers. He's retired. Well, guess what? In his civilian capacity at 29 Palms, he's responsible for overseeing the military police there. Watch who initiates physical violence in this situation. Watch as the person who initiated physical violence screwed around and found out and ends up getting his ass beat back. What you will now see here as well is that Jessica, and I don't want to focus on the poor innocent child in this situation, but you can hear the trauma that was done to him by this assault on his father. He's begging them to stop. But as this is going on, as Skipper is defending himself from the attacker, this is an ambush, by the way. Skipper defends himself from the attacker. Jessica gets involved, mounts Skipper's back, wraps her arms around his throat. You can see that right here. This is a deadly force situation, folks. When someone wraps their arms around your neck, that's an attempt to choke you out. Choking you out can turn deadly very, very, very quickly. And it does not take a lot of force. You do not have to be a big individual. And you can see that with how she pulls him back. And you can see how they drop. Her arm is right there around Skipper's neck. This would be a justifiable use of lethal force in self-defense, even under California law. And I've dug into California law on this. Skipper is the non-aggressor in this situation. And we're going to talk in the future, we're going to talk about how local law enforcement handled this. Because if local law enforcement and local prosecution had handled this correctly, all the subsequent problems that followed would not have ultimately been able to be swept under the rug. That civilian individual here, he's very...
Right now.
She's over here chimping out because, well, she's a basket case. They were separated. She's literally trying to provoke Skipper. She wants more physical altercation here. Good old Hal. Hal doesn't want no more of this. Hal got his ass handed to him. You can say what you want. Skipper handed Hal his ass. You want to FAFO? He FAFO'd. For sure. But he's not done. I want you guys to hear this.
Right now.
Hal, hey, fat boy. Civilian and a woman. The woman he's stooping. The woman that he unlawfully, unethically, immorally started sleeping with. And, oh, by the way, we have a letter that he wrote to Jessica while he was unlawfully, illegally, and immorally sleeping with her and mailed it to her house that she shared with Skipper. We have a copy of that letter where he admits to his immorality. Now, I'm a libertarian. Do what makes you happy. But understand that the rules of the military apply to you, and you can lose your job over this. And that'll come up as well. But the woman you're stooping had to step in, try to kill her ex. I mean, that's what she was doing. She was using lethal force around him, by wrapping her arms around his neck. And then a civilian has to come in and save your old ass. And then you want to call Skipper fat boy? And you want to try and close the distance with him again? After you just fucked around and effed around and found out? Listen to him. He only did that because he knew the civilian wasn't going to let anything else happen. Now, all of that took place in less than a minute. You watch over here, the civilian's like, I'm out of here. I'm done. I mean, he didn't, he did more than a lot of people would do. Most people at that time would have, jumped out with their cell phones and started recording.
Halliburton Cellars.
Halliburton Cellars.
SHOOERS. T-O-N. Not that I'm aware, but I do know he is a gun owner. Yeah, he's the MP for the day.
I think we don't really need to watch anymore. But the key part in there is Skipper did tell him, I do know that he's a gun owner. And that's actually really important information in these situations. Um, we have the reports, we have the statements, all of that, and the lies that Jessica and Sellers, Hallie boy, who got his butt kicked when he thought he was pulling a fast one. We have their lies about the situation. It's very clear who's the aggressor here. It's very clear ultimately who the ultimate victim is here, who Jessica and Hallie decided they needed to victimize here. Yes, Skipper, but mostly the child. They did all of this in front of the child. No cares or concerns. And as I demonstrated, he did not want anything to do with his mom there for when she tried to hug him, as he's literally trying to talk to his dad. She's using that hug, that apparent sign of affection, to separate him from his father, and he pushes her away. Folks, the reason why this story is important is not the assault on Skipper. It's important on one level because of the assault, but it's also important on another level because of what it did to Skipper's son. But there's something deeper here, and it speaks to a mindset of, at least, at the very least, at a micro level, at the very least, it speaks to a mindset of what's going on at a place like 29 Palms, a Marine Corps base, and at the time under the command of General Savage. And ultimately the cover up and the sweeping under the rug, if you will, of the behavior of the man who's in charge now, as in a civilian capacity, of the Marine Corps military police contingency at 29 Palms and security at 29 Palms. I mean, think about this Hallie, good old Hallie, and I'm calling him Hallie after Halle Berry because he went into it thinking he was getting into a fight with somebody he was going to manhandle, and he ended up getting manhandled. So he really ultimately fought like a little girl, and had to be rescued by a girl too. By the way, had to be rescued by a girl, big old badass combat vet Marine. And I'm not mocking people with combat experience. I'm mocking him, because there's stories about his heroic time in Iraq and yada yada yada. Hal's a pussy because he picked a fight with someone that cleaned his clock and had to be rescued by a girl, a little blonde that he's stupping. I mean, I wonder how that goes for the relationship, by the way. I wonder if that's a big turn on for the bedroom. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Oh my gosh. Can we reenact that time where you saved my life from your ex-husband after I attacked him? That was so hot. I wonder how many times that gets played out in their role playing. Because this psycho play is like a role player. And by this psycho, I mean Hal. He's a role player. I wonder if he pretends to be getting beat up by like a blow up doll or something, and then she has to like rush in and rescue him from a blow up doll. Does that do something for him? Hal, does that do something for Hal? Come on now. Come on, Hal. It kind of does something for you. You tough guy. I wonder if maybe, just maybe, Hal, are you a little bit of a cuck? Hal, come on, you can admit it. Because we're gonna be talking about you a lot for the next few months, Hal. So if there's something you need to get off your chest besides your breasts, um, you could tell us. Come on, you could Hal, you can email me. I'm TC. For those, since you don't know Hal, my name is TC. I am the host, founder, and originator of the Minnesota Black Robe Regiment podcast, MBRR Pod, MBRR Media. You can email me, Hal, privately. I promise you I won't show anybody your email, but Hal, you can email me, mbrrpodcast@yahoo.com. And you can tell me, Hal, are you kind of secretly a cuck? You are, aren't you? Because you let your girl save you. You picked a fight that you were gonna lose, and then you let your girl save you. I think you knew what you were doing, Hal. You knew. You knew that Mike was gonna kick your ass all over that parking lot, and you kinda needed it to get yourself all jacked up to go home later on that night and do your thing. You kinda needed to be cucked a little, and you got cucked, Hal. You really did. It's kinda it if my friend wasn't involved and it could have been his life on the line, I'd be having a little bit more fun with this. It would have been funny, but it's not funny, you fat freak. It's not funny when you allow yourself to use your power and your position to mess with somebody and mess with a fellow veteran. What's also not funny is that you will use your power and your position to have a sexual relationship with a subordinate who's married to a subordinate. When you're a colonel and you're stooping a captain's wife. Guys like you are the reason there's this term in the military called fragging. You're a piece of shit. And General Savage is a piece of shit for not dealing with you. And we're going to talk about what he didn't do and what he should have done. See, folks, there's this problem I was talking about. In 29 Palms Marine Corps base is a microcosm of an example of exactly what happens when nepotism and favoritism, because of power and position, take over. When you are able to attach yourself to people in power positions and you cuck up to them, if you will, you put yourself in a position of deference and subservience to them. Yes, sir. No, sir. Whatever you want, sir. Anytime, sir. Would you like to take me over the desk now, sir? Just don't punish me for having this inappropriate relationship. So, General Savage, if you'd like to bend me over your desk while I polish your shoes. When you allow that into your life, when you allow that cucking to take place, it becomes a part of who you are, because deep down inside, it is who you are, Hal. And deep down inside, General Savage, we're not done with you yet either. It is who you are. You see yourselves as the aristocracy, the royalty. General Savage sees himself as the king, and he's in a kingly type position now. And you dole out your favors and your protection to your lackeys and to your aristocratic servants, the lower nobility, if you will. You protect them, even at the cost of the people you're supposed to be watching out for, which are the lower ranking and others, the enlisted and the lower ranking or the non-coms and the lower commissioned officers and the warrant officers that are out there. It's your job, General Savage, to make sure that their lives are being lived and conducted in such a way so that your readiness as a Marine Corps base to go out and protect this country, to protect this republic, and to be ready to fight the wars that it needs to fight isn't impacted. But you've got a Halliburton Sellers working under you, both in a military capacity and then as a civilian military employee, where it's all about favoritism. It's all about nepotism. It's all about, the good old boys club. And it doesn't matter who suffers underneath you. It doesn't matter who's ultimately, in the end, hurt, as long as it's not one of the people that's the inside of the club. And if this can be allowed to happen to my friend Skipper, to my brother in arms Skipper, if they can come after him for talking about his life and his experiences at 29 Palms, and we'll be talking about that in future episodes in this story, if those things can be allowed to happen to Skipper, how many more people at 29 Palms, how many lower enlisted, how many non-coms, how many lower ranking officers outside of the flag officers have been treated in one way or another by one insider in the group or another? Because they've been relentless going after Skipper. They've been merciless going after Skipper. They have been on the attack over this. Look, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that I think Skipper's, without a doubt, handled everything perfectly all the time. Like, Skipper and I don't even agree 100% of the time when we're doing our shows. So I'd be a fool if I was his friend and told you that I think there's never a place where Skipper's ever made a mistake. I guarantee you Skipper's made some mistakes in this. I guarantee you. One of them's dropping the ball on his situational awareness. By the way, Skipper, do better next time, combat zone veteran. So I'm sure there are places where Skipper could have done things differently. I guarantee you if we sit down and we're able to talk to him, if he was allowed to talk about this, he'd tell you he wouldn't have had that conversation in front of his son. I guarantee you he wouldn't have picked that moment to have that physical altercation take place in front of his child. Not his fault, but he wouldn't have picked that. But just because Skipper's not perfect, and just because Skipper's probably made some mistakes in this entire relational thing, doesn't make all of the other garbage that's taking place as it relates to Skipper. This assault on Skipper by Halle Burton. Oh my gosh, I wonder if this can't be the Halliburton that we know it's not, but Halliburton Sellers, this is from Iowa, folks, and has someone who grew up in Iowa. He does not represent the rest of us, even though I'm in Minnesota now. I'm a positive product of Iowa. Halliburton Sellers is what happens when the manure runs into the river and is allowed to escape. See, Halliburton Sellers and Jessica assaulting Skipper is just the tip of the iceberg of what's wrong at Marine Corps Base 29 Palms. And so if you're somebody out there who has had treatment at the hands of command staff, flag staff, if you've been abused or mistreated by the military police there, if you are lower enlisted, if you are a non-com, if you are a warrant officer, if you are a lower ranking commissioned officer, and you've had problems and you have had no one respond to you in a way that shows that they actually give a good goddamn about you, and you need someone to talk to, reach out to me. I'll tell your story and I'll protect your identity. But I'll also tell you something else, especially if you're a civilian who's being mistreated, especially if you're a civilian who's being sexually harassed. Hashtag believe all women, right? Hashtag me too. Hashtag if your position of power and authority is allowing you to abuse people that are subservient to you, people that you have power and authority over, there was a time and a place where when that was caught, the only place you were going was Leavenworth. But now, General Savage, promoted to look him up, find out where he is. Protects men like Hallie Burton Sellers, keeps them on, keeps them in that circle of influence, puts them in a cushy position, civilian position, a GS level position where he gets to have control of security and readiness over the base. Does the conduct that you saw in that video give you any confidence that he is going to protect that base and be wary for readiness for the Marines that he's responsible for protecting and serving? Is he gonna fulfill that capacity the way he should? No. So somebody has to watch out for those people, and that'll be me. See, Skipper can involve himself in this. Veteran Nation can involve themselves in this because some things have been done to Skipper. Some attacks from powerful and high up individuals have been leveled at Skipper for having started to talk about this. They've worked to steal his voice, to take his voice from him. And that's why I'm his voice. That's why my friend AVA, Veterans Affairs Media, is going to be his voice. That's why others out there are going to be his voice. See, you can come for me, General Savage. You can come for me, Hallie Burton Sellers. Come for me. Goddamn dare you come for me. Come shut me down. Try and take some shit from me. See where it gets you. See, we're not going away. Skipper's not going away. And we've got his back. And our network is bigger than yours. Sure. Skipper's situation is different. But come for me, General Savage. Come for me, Hallie Burton, Sellers, Jessica. You want to F around and find out? Come F around and find out with me. See what good it does you. See, I've fought fights like this before. I know what Skipper's going through. I know what he's been through. I've lived it. So people like you don't scare me. And we're going to be exposing everything we have on you guys. Every piece of evidence, every letter, every report, every police report, every lie, every audio, every video, all of it. We're going to show you the reports about Jessica attacking Skipper well before any of this. We're going to show you that she has a history of this. We're going to show you that she's been using the system, the military system, against one of our vets before he was ever a veteran, while he was still active. We're going to show you just how psychotic her narcissistic ass is. And how we're going to tell your story too. We're going to document every complaint. We're going to document every single action that you took with the help of General Savage to try and make Skipper go away. And if it leads to unraveling you and everybody at 29 Palms, that's good. If it helps us find one story to tell besides Skipper's, that's even better. The best thing for our military, for the Marines in particular in this situation, and for all the veterans that are there by 29 Palms, who either are dependent upon the work that they do as civilians now at 29 Palms, or for the Marines and whatnot that still have to work there under the command of the Marine Corps. We're going to make that a better place for them, or we'll die in the trying. And I want to end with this. Brigadier General Klingon. I don't even know if you know about this story, General. Chances are you don't. Ever since your predecessor left to go take his supreme command position, they've probably not told you a word about any of this. What General Savage did, what Halle Burton did, that cuck. What they did to a retired Marine Corps officer. Not a hero. He'll tell you he's not a hero. He doesn't like to be called a hero. He doesn't like a thank you for your service. He doesn't like that stuff. In fact, he likes to say thank you for being worth serving. So Brigadier General Klingon, be worth serving. Look into this and bring justice to it. Make things right for Mike Skipper Arthur, a Marine who served with distinction and honor, who now is serving with distinction and honor in a civilian capacity, who is every day that he goes there is a hell day for him because of the fact that those two people are still allowed to roam freely and interfere with his life. So, General Klingon, you have the opportunity to do the right thing and make it right now. That's what I'm asking you to do. If you want to talk to me about it, you can email me from your own email if you want. But the call is there for anybody who's been involved in any of this, who wants to admit to anything, who wants to give me more information, to anybody who's suffered, maybe not because of what's going on with Skipper, but who has suffered things like what Skipper's going through, and you need somebody to talk to, reach out to me. If you want somebody to tell your story and protect your identity, you talk to me. Create an email account that the military can't find, and you reach out to me. mbrrpodcast@yahoo.com. I will tell your story, and we will find you help. That's what Skipper wants. Damage has been done on his end. They've already done what they can do and what they're continuing to try to do to him. But what Skipper cares about are his fellow Marines, and then his fellow military personnel and veterans across this entire country. We're not done with you, General Savage. We're not done with you, Halle Burton. We're not done with you, Jessica. We're not done with any of the others that we will be naming in the days and weeks to come. We will embarrass you. We will say your names. We will give your contact information. We will expose you. Do you hear me? Because I can say it louder. You don't mess with my fellow veterans. You don't mess with my friends. They may not be family, but they are blood. Sic Semper. Tyrannus.
We are go for liftoff in T-minus 30.
Stand by for further instructions, Minnesota Black Robe Regiment.
Secondary guidance systems engaged.
Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, it will be on my mark.
All systems are a go. All systems are a go.
Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, you are over the target. You are authorized to fire at will.